OG Rose here, and today we're going to be talking about a paper called Ideas Are Not Experiences. Even though ideas are experience, they are not equivalent to experiences. And this is, of course, kind of paradoxical because this very paper can only enter your mind as an idea. It can't be something you go out and experience. And the paper really wants to ask, why exactly does history repeat? Why exactly do we not seem to learn from our why is it that knowing something bad will happen if we do X doesn't tend to be a very good preventative to keep us from doing it? We tend to do it anyway. And a bunch of other questions. Why are so many philosophers at war with language, or writers? Why does art always feel like it's a failure to the artist? And generally speaking, it's because ideas are not experiences. Thinking about a cup, the idea of cup, is not the same as the experience of cup. Heidegger had this idea that you don't know a hammer by studying it, you know a hammer by picking up and using it. And that goes with everything, actually. Going to the mailbox. You don't know what going to the mailbox is like by imagining it. You walk to the mailbox. Or you don't know what it's like to have to make a really hard decision as a, say, leader between freedom and privacy, privacy and safety, unless you are the leader making that decision. Otherwise, you're just kind of thinking about it in the abstract. And likewise, also when we read history and we read about the mistakes of history, those mistakes are ideas. And we don't experience the mistakes of history when we read about them. And so even though we think we would be different this time, when the mistakes actually start in our own age, we think it's different this time because we experience them as different. We experience the advantages of the short-term advantages of making the mistake. We experience the confirmation bias of all our families and friends falling into it and us not wanting to be left out. It's one thing to read about Hannah Arendt's banality of evil and know it as an idea that we can, say, use to accuse the political parties we disagree of falling into fascism or socialism or whatever. But it's an entirely another thing when we begin to experience the banality of evil and in our minds, we're not experiencing, it's not the banality of evil, it's just normal. The idea of the banality of evil is experienced as normal life. So ideas are not experiences. And the essay also talks about that famous Box quote where he says, all models are wrong, but some models are useful. So likewise, all ideas are wrong, because all ideas are models, but I'm not saying that ideas are useless. Some ideas better approach reality than others, but we do have to be aware at the end of the day there's always going to be this divide. Some artists are better at creating their vision than others, but at the end of the day, if the artist is trying to perfectly translate the experience of the vision to an audience, there will be failure, and that could be tough. But if you're aware that that failure is kind of part of that failure is in the cards, it might be easier to live with. So also, if it's the case that the majority will never be motivated by ideas like experiences, then in democratic societies especially, it's just practically inevitable, not necessarily inevitable, practically inevitable, that the democracy will fall into the mistakes that happened in history because of the split of ideas and experiences, which is a split we still have today. So anyway, the paper just explores what it means that ideas are not experiences, which, of course, if you ask people directly, they say they know, but it actually has a really big impact on us in ways we can't even, begin to comprehend. I mean, it's that old Adam Smith idea that if a million people die in China in an earthquake, it doesn't bother me as much as, if I cut my own finger, in his moral sentiments. And, that goes for a lot. Injustices I experience, I may, in my mind, believe that the injustices of the world motivate me equally, but it's probably not the case. And the other big issue is ideas actually can contribute to self-deception because I can think I care about the injustices around the world or the lack of freedom or what have you, which makes me feel like I'm doing something about it or would do something about it. But in fact, I continue to just live according to my experiences and their motivations. So this dilemma, this fact that ideas are not experiences, that they are always uncorrect, which is a term the paper explores, also contributes to self-deception. So anyway, that's the paper, Ideas Are Not Experiences. For more, please visit ogrose.com, and thank you for your time.